Hello and welcome back to What the Flick. I'm Matt Atchity. Joining me is Kim Horcher from Nerd Alert and John Iadarola from The Damage Report. We are talking about the final episode of Westworld Season 2, The Passenger, the post-penultimate episode.
Yeah.
Or the ultimate episode. This one was long. It was almost 90 minutes long. And boy, did we learn a lot and get even more questions, and it was crazy.
I'm going to say this tentatively.
Okay.
I think I get it.
All right. Some astounding visuals in there. The security guards fighting the.
We finally got to see that.
The bulls. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
We get to go kind of back inside the Matrix, so to speak, and we see the system talking to Bernard and Dolores, learning some things. We learn about how humans are predictable, or maybe, or at least the system thinks so. There's a lot going on in this. How do we all feel about it?
I mean, this poses a classic sci-fi question, which is, what is free will and do we have it and do our creations have it? And I think the answer this show tends to err toward is, no, we're all the same. We're all just code. We're all just little pieces of player piano paper cycled through and through.
I think that it wants to sort of have that conversation, but I feel like it's only really having sort of a free will conversation because it had a consciousness conversation in the first season. I don't think it's all that committed to actually answering it. I mean, they did simulations on Delos, and so they believe that they found this one thing that he will always do. Okay, so they ran simulations. They might believe that they made those simulations in a way that is totally accurate to Delos. I think there's probably things about a human mind you can't pick up from a hat. So I don't know how much they can actually say about free will. Like Bernard finally has his equivalent scene that Dolores had at the end of the first season, where he realizes the voice in his head was himself all along, and now he's fully conscious. He is, however, still a product of human programming.
I mean, he's kind of Ford and Arnold, like Dolores is kind of Dolores and Wyatt, and the third version of Dolores altogether.
A couple things, though, to that. I think that one, the show seems to be definitely saying people may not necessarily have free will, and there are choices that are programmed into them. But I started to get the sense that the hosts may have some level of will in that they are making choices. You know, at one point we saw in the from the Ghost Nation, Akachita talked about coming up with his own new drive. We see that Bernard himself says he makes a choice to do something different in this particular episode.
And Maeve did something different that Ford thought she would.
Right, Maeve does something different, coupled with Bernard isn't I would say Bernard is less a product of human programming so much as he is a product of Dolores's, the host programming.
So he's like a host baby, grandbaby.
Kind of.
Yeah, and I think it's fine. I think inside of the context of a TV show, it's probably about a sophisticated conversation about free will that you're going to have. I just think it has some severe limitations built into it. That he can say, oh my God, I never would have predicted Maeve would do this. Okay, well, you program stuff. You don't know exactly how it's going to interact with the real world, and it's going to go off. Other variables are going to then interact with it. I don't know. I've taken philosophy courses, so I don't find the conversation as like mind-blowing, perhaps.
Do you just think like it doesn't matter how much QA there is, there's always going to be some level of chaos?
Well, certainly. Like, I mean, I don't want to skip ahead too far to
no, do it, because we're supposed to talk about the whole episode.
But so they say that so in the same way that Delos always turns his back on his son, and his son then dies, the Man in Black always kills his daughter and ends up at the Forge. Okay. That's what he might want to do, but how does he then interact with the hosts in the park? If the hosts had theoretically shot him in a different way, if he had run into someone else, like there are these external factors that then could interfere, but I guess are coincidentally not.
Okay.
I just find it a little bit unconvincing.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
But I also I don't need that stuff to like the show.
Besides that one about this episode.
I mean, we can speculate about who the pearls were that were taken out of the park. I think a few of them are probably pretty obvious, but.
Well, she had 5, right? She has probably her dad, Bernard.
Well, so I thought
definitely Bernard.
So definitely Bernard she leaves with, and definitely Abernathy. Maybe, but
I
that
think
was
she would
that
say
was the
for
one that was
Dad.
the encryption
Yeah.
for the new
Yeah.
world, right? But I don't know who the rest would be.
We'll find out next
right,
season.
She puts Teddy in the kind of Elysian fields. So
Teddy
to
goes
speak.
to San Junipero with Akachita.
Right.
And
which
Maeve's
they're
daughter.
calling the Sublime, apparently.
Sublime.
But not Maeve, because they strongly hinted that she'll be brought back inside of Westworld at the very
So
least.
I think what we're going to see is a big time jump for season 3. I think they've been practicing on the Man in Black host for a while.
Well, the creator of the show said that they're not primarily intending. They're saying that's a timeline that they're going to work towards, but they're not expecting that in the
I
third
see.
season.
So that's the furthest reach, but then we'll be between
I
then
guess.
and there.
But they also haven't actually made it yet, so who knows, honestly.
knows?
They also said that Westworld could still be a thing in the show, but they would have to explain why. So I think, at least in their current thinking, it is unlikely that much of the show will take place in Westworld.
But
It might be in the
Maeve's
other
there.
parks. That's true, but at least I think it was Lisa Joy in her interview. She seemed to be indicating the real world is where it's at.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe.
What I really appreciated was Dolores' speech when she brought Bernard to the real world, to Arnold's house, and was like, if I were human, I would have killed you. But I'm beyond human. I see that there needs to be a plurality of ideas, and there needs to be not just a dictator in charge, which is kind of what happened in Westworld. But she decided she was going to work past that, and they're going to figure it out somehow, and the greatest idea will win, or they'll both die.
Do you think that they earned that big twist change?
I do not think Stubbs earned the right to do that.
That's not the twist I was
He
talking
did not
about.
have a connection with Dolores. We didn't show him with Ford very much, and it's like he knew
Yeah, I
this
don't
is
get that.
Dolores and Charlotte's body.
Unless Stubbs is a.
Well, I
that's what we're
thought that a
assuming.
long time ago,
But
actually.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was earned. But I'm saying that Bernard, she's gonna destroy the forge and delete all the memories. Bernard shoots her in the head. She comes back and has changed her mind. Do we buy her changing her mind in that fundamental fashion?
Yes.
So what changed that caused her to totally reverse her opinion of destruction of the forge and the human minds?
I think she realized what she could do as Charlotte Hale, assuming the identity of Charlotte Hale.
Okay, maybe.
I think she's going to use Charlotte's money and clout and power in a big way.
You might be right.
Well, theoretically, the other thing too, being that Dolores is the programmer who actually came up with Bernard, who can function better than any of the other, call them mimic hosts. You know, we talk about how could Westworld be a park functioning in the future? Well, just send everybody back as host bodies that they don't know that anything happened. Reprogram them like, oh yeah, the park's great. It's a super fun time, right? And then nobody knows anything went wrong in the park.
Yeah, but I just want to briefly mention, there's a lot of characters that died, even though death doesn't really mean much anymore, that'll come back, but there is one who isn't coming back, Elsie.
Elsie's not coming back. Teddy's not coming back. Akachita's not coming back. Lee's not coming back.
Yeah, but the Elsie's
do
the
we
one that
know
I
that?
care about.
Because they did.
Well, at least the humans are dead. But Elsie, that was
Right,
really
but-
sad because I could sort of see it coming.
Sure,
she
they're all
was
dead,
good.
but they can always make new bodies. Like this is one of those shows where don't trust anyone dead ever.
I guess. I'm predicting that Elsie ain't coming back
Okay.
this time.
Right.
We'll
I mean,
see.
we'll know when we start getting casting news through IMDb. Right. Anyway, so that's it for this final episode of Westworld season 2. Join us next year. We'll be back presumably for more, and maybe sometime in 2019 we're going to talk about Game of Thrones as well. So thanks a lot, Kim and John. Thank you for joining me today, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday. We'll have more movies and TV to talk about. So thanks a lot.